What is going on, guys? It's Kirk coming at you with another Binding of Isaac video here on the channel. Today we're going to be doing a Halloween special. So I'm going to be telling you a bunch of stories of my childhood that are creepy, because I have a lot of them. And we're going to be doing an eat and run while we do it. So yeah, I'm not going to be focusing too much on the gameplay, even though I technically probably still am. But yeah, we're going to try to take it a little bit slower today, because I do want to tell you guys a lot of the stuff that I went through with the kids. So when I was a kid, this is live, by the way. Sorry about that, fixing my wire. So when I was a kid, we moved to my house when I was like about 2, right? So I've been here, mainly my whole life. And you know what? I got you guys. We're gonna do something a little bit different today. Watch this. Oh yeah. I hope that we think they're too loud, but we're gonna have a creepy vibe today. So, we moved to my house when I was about 2, right? So this house was built like in '88. It's not super old, but it is somewhat like, it's not new. And I feel like when I was younger, right? I didn't know exactly. I wasn't conscious yet, I guess. So whenever I was here at my house, I was kind of learning. Like the first memories I have are me learning the house and learning like, all the nooks and crannies of it, like where to play and stuff like that, right? But I remember that. Well, one thing I do remember is that I used to be really addicted to the baby bottle, right? So especially in Mexican culture, a lot of the time they'll let you not have the baby bottle for a while. So usually for other cultures, I mean, I could be wrong about most of them, but you normally don't have the baby bottle, or you have it a little bit longer. And for Hispanics, you tend to get rid of it a little bit sooner, because they tend to start feeding you like regular food, right? And you stop drinking milk as much. So I remember I didn't want to stop drinking the baby bottle, so I was like addicted to it, right? And my mom used to tell me like, "Hey, you're already big. Like you don't have to be drinking from the bottle no more." And in my mind, I mean, I didn't really know what was going on, right? But I just like drinking from the bottle, and it wasn't milk, right? It was like I would get like drinks like juice and stuff like that. And I remember, and I vividly remember, my mom told me that one day, I got the bottle and I want to go watch TV, and that I went up to her, and I was crying, and I told her, "Hey, I don't want to drink from the bottle anymore. Like, I'm done with it." So I threw it, and my mom was like, "What's wrong? Like, why don't you want to drink from the bottle? Like, you like the bottle?" And I had told her that there was a lady that told me to stop drinking from the bottle, or that something bad was going to happen. And I remember a Victorian dressed lady in my living room. I mean, I don't know if she just appeared while watching TV, so I think I just turned around and I just happened to look in that direction. But yeah, I remember like an old fashioned dress. If you play like Red Dead Redemption, like those kind of dresses, and it freaked me out, right? So I stopped drinking from the baby bottle ever since that day, right? So that was like the first kind of occurrence we had. My house was so bad when I was younger, in terms of like how do you say it? How haunted it was, I guess you can say. That we actually had to get some priests to come in and pray for the house a little bit later on. So it was it was pretty bad to be honest. It was a little bad. I'm gonna buy that diplopia, by the way, I think. So I remember that the next thing that happened, I was maybe about, I want to say 8, 9, right? And I went to my mom's room, and that's where I would kind of watch movies because they had a pretty big TV. And I went and I noticed that the TV. Okay, so a little rundown on what was going on here. My mom was cooking dinner, right? She was cooking dinner, and so was my dad. My dad was there just talking to her while they cooked dinner. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm watching a movie. I'm gonna get ready to eat. I'm super hyped. It's gonna be a lot of fun, right? And all of a sudden, I saw my mom peeking from the door while I was watching the movie, right? And my mom's like, she's pretty fun. Like she, especially as a kid, like she was kind of like silly, you know. So I was like, okay, like my mom's just trying to have fun. It's kind of weird because she was just cooking like a second ago. But I remember my mom was in pajamas, by the way. This is important. So my mom was in pajamas and she was cooking, and I see her peek in through the door, but I see like a, how do you say it? I see like the tip of her head peeking. She's not peeking in all the way. And I mean, I'm kind of freaked out at this point. It's not like super like scary, but I'm just like, okay, my mom's looking at me weird. And then she peeks the rest of her head in, but just her head. But she's smiling, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, why's my mom smiling like that? Like, she does smile a lot, but like not like that. Like that was a lot of, it was really creepy. Like, so I'm just looking at her and I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she didn't respond, didn't say anything. And all of a sudden, she jumps into the door frame, like into view, and she does like a ta-da kind of thing, and then she runs away. And she runs away, and you can hear like a little giggle, and I'm just like, what the fuck? So I follow her, and you know, mind you, she wouldn't be able to make it to the kitchen before I can see her at the rate that I peek. Cause I'm a kid, I'm pretty quick, right? So I run towards the door, and I see, and you know, I would assume that I would see her running down the hallway, because from the time I went to the door to the time that she ran, there was no way that she would have made it down the hallway before I could see. But when I peeked, she wasn't there. And I went to the kitchen, and my mom was cooking with my dad still. And I asked her, I was like, hey, like, why did you peek in like that? She's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm cooking, right? And I was just like, what? So I realized that my mom was wearing something completely different whenever she was cooking. So I realized she was not wearing the same thing as when I saw her literally like, what, 6 seconds ago, 7 seconds ago? Like, she was wearing something completely different. And I was like, wow, dude, like that. I don't know what I saw. I have gone to people who are more kind of into like spirits and stuff, and they think it was a mimic, which is a kind of spirit or like a jinn or whatever that can mimic people around you in order to like kind of let your guard down. Like they'll kind of mimic things, or people that you love. They'll mimic voices. I just saw like a person, but a lot of people will hear the actual voice of like the mimic, and it'll sound like sometimes somebody that's dead or somebody they really care about, and it's supposed to like you know, you let your guard down around it, and that's what it is. So yeah, so that happened to me, and that's one of my most like frightening stories. And I am going chronologically here, so for those of you who are wondering why I'm like saying this and saying that, so okay, so after that, the lady who lived in front of us was a self-proclaimed witch, right? So it's gonna be a little hard for me to explain this to y'all, but like if you're not Hispanic, maybe it might be a little bit hard to understand. But in our culture, there's a lot of, especially deep in Mexico, there's a lot of people that are witches, and usually they're not good, but I mean, there can be like white magic, so they say, right? And oh, we're gonna use this. So this lady gave us a statue, and it was a Native American statue. It's supposed to like honor Native Americans, and you know, like kind of like the struggle that they went through, right? So she gave it to us, and we had it in our living room, right? And we kind of didn't like it. It was a little creepy, a little uncanny, but it was something that was a gift, so we didn't want to just like give it away or like leave it there and throw it, you know? So, hey. So what we did is that we put it in the living room, and we were like, okay, we're going to leave this here. And, you know, whenever my neighbor comes, well, I mean, obviously she's going to see it there and she'll be happy. So we put it there, and then my dad, who would stay up late at the time, my dad was a night owl before I was, and he would sit there and watch TV, and he would watch a bunch of random shows like the Food Network. He was a huge Anthony Bourdain fan, and he would watch a bunch of shows, and he noticed that he would hear things at night, and he was like, okay, like I'm hearing things at night. He would tell my mom, I'm hearing things. I don't know what it is. Sometimes he would go outside to check. He thought people were by the window, or like people were trying to break in, or you know, just normal dad behavior. Um, so he found out later, and he woke up my mom. It was like 3 in the morning. He woke up my mom because he said that the statue was talking to him in like whispers, right? So it was around this time when he started to panic, because he's like, I swear, like I'm not crazy. This statue is talking to me, like it talks to me at night when no one's awake. And he's like, and I've tried to like see if it was something else. I thought maybe it was some of the kids had the TV on, and I was just hearing it through the wall or something, right? But no, it wasn't. Like he was just hearing it. And so my mom was like, okay, like that sounds a little demonic. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna just get rid of that statue. Like I know that she gave it to us and it's a gift, but it's not something I kind of want to keep around if that's the type of impact you're getting from it. And like, okay, so just to note, my dad's not really like a he's not somebody that believes in stuff like that too often. Like he's religious and stuff, but he's not like one of the like. If you tell him a ghost story, he'll give you the most logical thing and kind of just assume that that is what it is. And I'm sure you've met people like that, people that just don't believe in that side of things. So he was like, okay, like I'm gonna get rid of this. So he went outside with my older brother, and he threw it out. I'm gonna higher this music a little bit. It's a little too low now. So he threw out the statue and he broke it against the tree by our house. And he broke it and he said that a bluish green mist came out of it. And that him and my brother were freaked out because it was like a weird mist and it smelled really bad. But not only that, after that happened, the tree that he broke it by died. Like within 2 or 3 months, that tree just died. And that tree had been there since, I mean, before we even bought the house. So yeah, so it died. So after that, my parents were like, you know what, like we gotta pray for the house because we started seeing things moving. We started hearing things. My chairs in my living room would kind of move around. And so we're like, yeah, we're gonna pray for the house. We're gonna get priests. They're gonna come in here and do all that good priestly stuff, right? So they did, and they came in to pray for the house, and we stopped seeing things for a good while. We did have some family problems a little bit later on, maybe like a few years later, and we did start seeing them again. So I think it is tied to like negative energy and stuff like that. Like right now, like, I'll see a few things here and there, but not nearly as much as back then. But it was bad. So they prayed for the house and things were cool. But it was around maybe I want to say high school where I started picking up again. And well, during high school, I was kind of like I was really into like conspiracies and ghosts and all that stuff and aliens and all that. But I've always been like that. So sometimes my parents would think that it kind of creeped me out, or it would put me like in a weird headspace to like think about stuff like that. And it wouldn't. I was pretty calm. Yeah. So I was pretty calm, and I was like, okay, like I see some stuff around, but I'm not scared. But my girlfriend, who at the time, who is my wife now, she said that she would feel like a weight in the house. And she was like, every time I go to your house, I feel this weight, like of heaviness. And you tell me that you're seeing things that could be connected to it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it could be, right? I feel like some people can sense stuff like that. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of spirituality and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I kind of agree. Like, it does feel like that. So I remember one time I actually walked into the restroom because I had to look for my hairbrush. And my brother was walking in with me, and we were getting ready to do something. It was like a family thing. I forgot what it was, but we walked in and we saw a hairspray can kind of twirling. And if you don't know what I mean, it's kind of like it's like if you grab a hairspray can with 2 hands, right, from one on each side, and then you try to spin it on the floor or on the table. That's the kind of thing that it was doing, right? And I was like, what? Like we walked in and it was doing that. We had turned on the lights and it was just spinning by itself. Right, which is weird because I mean things don't do that by themselves, right? So that's when I noticed that things were kind of starting to pick up again after a few years of just nothing. So I have a best friend who would come to my house, and he never really saw much, but it was during that time when he kind of started to like pick up on things going on, and he would like, oh, I saw this last time I was at your house, or I saw that, or and he does believe in stuff like that, but he never saw anything at my house. I had a few other friends who did, but not him. And I don't know if it just didn't show itself to him or whatever. Let's do the boss first. And but it changed one day when we were in high school. So when we were in high school, I remember that we were walking towards the gym. It was after school. Okay, so we were both in spelling, and after the spelling club, we would actually walk to our bus because we live. So I live in the town technically that I'm not gonna say it, but I do live in a town. But I technically live like in the suburb of a town, and like So it's technically not the same town, but everyone considers it the same town. I don't know if that makes sense. But I live like in a outer part of the city, right? So we take a bus every day, and the bus ride was pretty long. So we kind of had to hurry because if we missed the bus, I mean, our parents were not going to want to go and pick us up. So we were rushing to the bus, and we saw out of the corner of our eye, down the hall, we saw this. It wasn't even out of the corner of our eye, actually. It was just straight up. We saw this weird, shadowy creature crawling on the roof. And at first, I mean, this is something that I'm used to, right? Like, I've seen stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is following me home, right? And I wanted to see it, and my friend saw it, so I looked at him. And you should have seen the look on his face. He was shook. And I was like, did you see that? And he was like, yes, I saw it. And I was like, I think that's following it. Like, it was literally a shadow that was crawling on a roof. It kind of looked like, I'm trying to give you, if you ever seen like The Rake, if you want to look up The Rake, it's like a creepypasta. That's what it looked like. The Rake, or it looked like, what's the name of that thing? From COD Zombies. It's like the crawlers, I think they're called. Like, that's exactly what it looked like. And we saw it down the hall, and then it turned a corner, like towards the bus area. And I was like, nah, we're taking a different route. He's like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can take a different route. Did we get a double deal? I don't think we did. We can actually use this Joker card. So yeah, so that's when it started picking up. And I mean, we had some issues. We actually had some issues with like my parents and stuff like that. They were like, they would argue a lot and stuff. So there was a lot of negative energy in the house. And I guess it was showing. It was starting to like peep in through my life. So after that, we saw a few. I mean, I don't know if they're related, but we actually saw a few UFO sightings in the same span of like maybe 2 to 3 months. And I mean, my grandma thinks it could be related. A lot of my family thinks that aliens are like demons and stuff, which I mean, I don't know if I agree with, but I feel like sometimes the energy can kind of bring stuff, if that makes sense. And recently, we haven't really been getting too much. We do get some stuff again that moves. And I mean, I was in high school like maybe 6, 7 years ago, so it was a long time ago. Oh, not 6, 7 years, like 10 years. 'Cause I'm pretty old. So we haven't really been seeing that much stuff, but I feel like everything's been kind of chill though. Like, we don't really get. There's not a lot of negativity going on in my family right now, at least that I know of. So maybe that's why. But I also do have a few stories at my fiance's house. So her house is in that city that I mentioned. I mentioned that I live outside of a city she lives in the city. And she actually has a few neighbors that are witches. Well, it's just one neighbor, but she's like a witch also. But I don't think she's a very good one. Like, not good as in like she's not good at it. Like, she's not a nice witch. And there's been a few cases where she gets work done at her house, and she hires people that will do the work. And usually these people will like play music really loud, and they kind of jam out while they work on this, right? And they said that one of the days while they were working, the guy's speaker broke. All the music that they hear kind of turned off. And he said that the first thing they heard coming out of that neighbor's house is that they heard a kind of like a tarot card reading, right? Which is not bad. Like, that's not natively bad. But the guy recognized tarot cards because he knew exactly what they were, since he did kind of like, he wasn't a witch or anything, the guy that worked on the house. But he was somebody who kind of went to those things. He went to tarot card readings. He did like seances and stuff like that. Like, he was into that type of stuff. And he was like, the stuff that she was saying was very negative compared to like, the stuff that normal tarot card readers would say. And ever since then, we kind of had a few cases where we saw a few things. Mainly just me. I think her brother has seen a thing or two also, but she has 2 big dogs outside, and sometimes she only has one restroom in her house. So sometimes whenever I have to go to the restroom and people are in there, I'll tend to go outside, and I'll go like in a corner or something like that. And I remember that I walked out and heard 2 dogs. They're Weimaraners. They're pretty big dogs, but they're pretty lazy. They don't really get up too often, especially if you walk out. They'll just kind of lay there and watch you move about. Excuse me. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go pee. It was kind of cold, I remember. And I walked and I saw the two dogs laying there, and I'm like, okay, like these guys are knocked out. They're not gonna bother me. So I want to go pee, and I felt this giant dog brush up against me. And usually when I go pee, if it's during the day, they might get up and go investigate to see what I'm doing. But it was like 12 o'clock at night, so they didn't get up. Like they were just laying there. And I felt this giant dog brush up against me, and this dog was huge. Like, and mind you, like it's a corner of the house. It's super dark. Like there's not lights in that area, right? So I can't see very well. And the closest light is in the back porch, but that's around the corner and a good distance. So you don't really get any of that light in the area that I was at. So I couldn't really see what I was looking at, but I felt it. And this dog was like up to my waist, which is not how big those dogs are, right? But I didn't really think about it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pee and go because I don't want to be out here. It was like 40 degrees or something like that. And I do love cold weather, but I didn't have a jacket on, so I just had like my pajamas on or something like that. And so this dog touched me, and I kind of pet it, and I was like, oh, like good dog. I pet it, and then I started walking towards the door, and I noticed that both of the dogs were still asleep. So I don't know what the hell I pet. I pet something, and it was, I don't know, it was big, and it was a dog. I mean, at least the shape of a dog. I don't know. But yeah, I did touch it, and I told my girlfriend, her name is Vicky. I was like, yeah, I touched something outside, and that's what she told me. She was like, oh, one of the guys that worked at my house had told me that they just witnessed or heard something creepy from the neighbor's house. And I was like, okay, well, could be a little related. I don't know. But yeah, so that happened. And one more incident happened with me, where I was about to leave her house, and usually whenever I leave her house, she'll kind of like say bye to me at the gate, right? That way I don't have to like walk out by myself. So we were talking at the gate, and we were talking about a plan we are gonna make for the weekend with some of our friends. And there's like a trash can that the neighbor keeps, like the big trash can that the garbage can, the big green ones. And so we're standing next to that, and I remember I saw what looked like a big dog. Now I don't know if it was the same size as the one that I felt, but it did look like it was a similar size. And this dog kind of walked into the trash can, like he walked behind it, right? So I was like, what? Like I was like, that's a big ass dog. I want to see what kind of dog that is, because there are some neighbors that have dogs in her house around her neighborhood. But there's one that has a really big dog, but he lives like all the way down the street, so it'd be kind of hard for the dog to get there, especially since he never lets them like out of the gate. So I saw this big dog go behind the trash can, but I was waiting for it to come out the other end so I can see like the head and see what kind of dog it was, but it never did. The dog walked behind the trash can and it never came back out. And I can't, like, from where I was at, there is no way that I wouldn't have been able to see the dog leave. Like if the dog would have went in another direction, I would have seen it. Like it was so close, I would have 100% seen it, and I didn't. So I don't know where the hell it went. And I kind of jumped back, and my girlfriend was like, what's wrong? Like, I was like, this dog just went behind that trash can. This big black dog went behind the trash can and vanished. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. Like, and she was like, did it look like the same dog that you felt when you went outside? I was like, I don't know, but this dog looked pretty big. And yeah, that's the last thing that happened to me, I think, that I can remember. This was maybe like a year ago. But I remember my father-in-law was telling us about, so he used to be like a trucker, and he was telling us that he had a friend who he still talks to pretty often, but that he had a friend who was a really popular trucker. He was like really good at his job, and on every job he had, people kind of sent him because he was quick. He got there quick. He unloaded the truck and he came back. He never had any problems, and people like that, right? Especially if you're somebody who's like hiring for efficiency when it comes to the trucking business. And this guy was kind of like straight to work. He did laugh. He said he did have a sense of humor, but it was like he didn't like to joke around when he was on the job and stuff like that. And he had been trucking for maybe about 20, I forgot what he said, 26 or 27 years. And he said that he suddenly just quit. And everybody was surprised because I mean he's a good trucker, right? He was one of the best. And they asked him, he was like, "Hey, why'd you quit? Like, are you sure you don't want to come back?" And he's like, "No, I'm going to retire." And he wasn't super old. He was like 54, 55. He's like, "I'm going to retire." And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, when I went to Louisiana, this was the last trip he did. He was like, I went to Louisiana the other day, and on the way, he said that he was like in a kind of a foresty part of the area, and he said that while he was there, he saw a dog standing up and smoking a cigarette. And this guy was not like that at all. Like if you knew the dude, the guy was super serious, super collected. Like he didn't believe in anything. He wasn't even religious. He was like super just like regular person, right? And he was like, "Yeah, I swear to you, like on my life." He's like, "I wasn't tired. Like I had just woken up." And he's like, "I saw a dog standing up against a tree, smoking a cigarette." And to that day, he's like, "I don't want to go back to that area," because he kind of he had picked up a new contractor. He was going to be dropping stuff off from Texas to Louisiana. And he was like, "Yeah, like I don't want to do that. Like I'm not going to do that anymore." And he quit. He literally quit. So I mean, I don't know what he saw, but it traumatized him to the point where he didn't really want to be a trucker anymore. Which I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a hell of a story. I remember my grandma had told me a few things about her childhood. So my grandma's father had left the family when she was super young. Like she knew him, but like she barely knew him. If you know what I mean. And she said that when she was younger, before he left, that he was talking to some lady, and the lady was apparently known to be like a witchy type of lady, right? And according to her, she said that he thought whenever she went to his house, because he lived somewhere different to visit, that his mom just dropped her off, and that she walked in and she saw him knocked out in a circle with a bunch of candles, and that she was like, Dad, like mom just dropped me off, like are you gonna get up?" And he never got up. And she said he just stood there. He just laid there for like an hour. And so she called her mom, and her mom gonna go pick her up. And she was like, "Mom, like Dad was just laying there like by some candles," and then her mom was like, "It's okay, just don't worry about it," and she left. So I think my grandma's mom kind of knew what was going on, that she was being witched by this other lady, and eventually she just left. Oh, he just left, and I feel bad for my grandma, right? Because she was super young, and obviously that's very tragic to go through, I guess, and especially tragic to see if you actually see your dad doing something like that. But yeah, she said that maybe like a month later he just left. He was having an affair, and he legit just dipped after that happened. And my grandma thinks that he got witched by some lady, which is more common than you think. There's a lot of stories like that in Mexican culture, and I'm sure not all of them are real, right? But like, still pretty interesting. I do know that if you guys aren't familiar with like Hispanic culture, maybe there's a lot of other cultures that kind of share stories like this, but it's pretty well thought that witches can turn into like owls and stuff like that. And you can look it up. Look up lechuza, Mexican lechuza, and I mean there's some photos out there that seem a little weird. Like owls have like human faces and stuff. I mean, obviously I don't believe in that too much because I do love owls. But yeah, there's a lot of stories like that. And according to my neighbor, the one who was a witch, she said that, and you can, I'm quoting her on this, that you can become so good of a witch that at some point you can actually transform into an owl. And that's what a lechuza is. At least the Mexican scary versions of them. Do I believe that? I don't know. But she said that she swears that she's seen it, that she's seen people turn into owls, and that she didn't want to do it, so she quit. And now she's like a very Christian lady. But that was like her backstory. And she was like, I saw some things that were so disturbing that it kind of made me change my ways, and I wanted to stop being a witch. And one of them was seeing people transform into an owl. But anyways, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Pretty fun to reminisce in things that I've seen. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. And like always, I will see you all in the next video, and hope you all have a happy Halloween.